Hi, this is English 9A Credit 3, Lesson 2. This is where we're going to read the text of Romeo and Juliet. Since you will not be reading the complete play but only one scene, this activity will provide you with a summary of Act 1, explaining the issues which cause Romeo and Juliet to be a tragic play. Read the summary below and answer the question that follows. So I'm going to go ahead and read the summary of Act 1. In the city of Verona, Romeo and Juliet are two lovers who belong to feuding families. After a fight breaks out between the members of the families, the prince intervenes and states that if there is another fight, those responsible will be put to death. Romeo is saddened after having his heart broken by Rosaline, tells his friend he will never love another. Meanwhile, Capulet, Juliet's father, arranges a marriage for her to Paris, a man she does not love. Juliet is not happy with this. Romeo crashes a masquerade or a costume party held at the Capulet household and spots a disguised Juliet. He declares how beautiful she is and is overheard by Tybalt, a member of her family. Tybalt recognizes Romeo as a member of the feuding Montague family, and a fight almost breaks out. It is stopped when they are reminded of the prince's warning about fighting. Romeo starts to romance Juliet, but then learns she is a Capulet, and Juliet learns that Romeo is a Montague. Using the summary above, list 3 obstacles the young lovers face that leads to the play's tragic ending. So there's a few things in here to choose from. One of them that they will have to overcome, or an obstacle, is they come from feuding families. Okay, so take time and find 2 more in that summary, and when you're done with that, you can move on. The next part again is your annotation guidelines. So as you are taking notes, as you read the story, you need to be taking notes. It's worth 20 points of your packet, so please take time to do it. It's easy, 20 points as long as you're taking notes in there. This is a guideline of how to take notes, and they do the first portion for you just to give you an idea. So now we're going to start the story. Okay, so we're going to annotate. If you're looking at this side is the original text, okay? The side that we're going to read is this side. This is the modern text, okay? So you can go back and forth and look at, the certain words Shakespeare uses, but I'm only going to be reading the right side to help you guys out through the packet, okay? So this is Act 2, Scene 2. Romeo is giving a soliloquy, a speech given to the audience to expose his true feelings about Juliet. Typically this is, him talking to himself, or internal talk within himself, okay? So the modern text on the right, Romeo returns. It is easy for someone to joke about scars if they've never been cut. Juliet enters on the balcony. But wait, what's a light in the window over there? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Rise up, beautiful sun, and kill the jealous moon. The moon is already sick and pale with grief because of you. Juliet, her maid, are more beautiful than she. Don't be her maid because she is jealous. Virginity makes her look sick and green. Only fools hold on to their virginity. Let it go. Oh, there's my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, I wish she knew how much I love her. And these side notes are the examples of annotation. So we're going to move on. Oh, I wish she knew how much I love her. She's talking, but she's not saying anything. So what? Her eyes are saying something, and I will answer them. I am too bold. She is not talking to me. Two of the brightest stars in the whole sky had to go away on business, and they're asking her eyes to twinkle in places until they return. What if her eyes were in the sky and the stars were in her head? The brightness of her cheeks would outshine the stars the way the sun outshines a lamp. If her eyes were in the night sky, they would shine so brightly through space that birds would start singing, thinking her light was the light of day. Look how she leans her hand on her cheek. Oh, I wish I was the glove on that hand so I could touch that cheek. Juliet, oh my. So number 1, review Romeo's soliloquy in lines 1 through 25. What do his thoughts reveal about his character? So, we can start it out with Romeo's thoughts show he what? So, he is infatuated and very passionate about, her beauty, and so Romeo's thoughts show he is infatuated with Juliet's looks and beauty, right? Talks about her eyes and everything. So you can go ahead and use that as one of your answers. And then for number 2, what are Romeo's thoughts and views on love? Cite textual evidence that supports your response. So textual evidence is a quote from what I just read. So you can answer that question on your own. Again, what are Romeo's thoughts and views on love? So how does he view love? And then use one of the quotes that I read through the story, okay? When you're done, we can move on. Romeo, speaking to himself, she speaks, oh, speak again, bright angel. You are glorious as an angel tonight. You shine above me like a winged messenger from heaven who makes mortal men fall on their backs to look up at the sky, watching the angel walking on the clouds and sailing on the air. Juliet, not knowing Romeo hears her. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, where do you have to be Romeo? Forget about your father and change your name. Or else, if you won't change your name, just swear you love me and I'll stop being a Capulet. Romeo to himself, should I listen for more or should I speak now? Juliet, still not knowing Romeo hears her. It is only your name that's my enemy. You still be yourself even if you stopped being a Montague. What's a Montague anyway? It isn't a hand, a foot, an arm, a face, or any part of a man. Oh, be some other name. What does a name mean? The thing we call a rose would smell just as sweet if we called it by any other name. Romeo would be just as perfect even if he wasn't called Romeo. Romeo, lose your name, trade in your name, in which really has nothing to do with you, and take all of me in exchange. Romeo to Juliet, trust your words, just call me your love, and I will take a new name. From now on, I will never be Romeo again. Juliet, who are you? Why do you hide in the darkness and listen to my private thoughts? Okay. So, according to lines 33 through 53, what is revealed about Juliet's feelings towards Romeo? Support your answer with evidence from the text. So, does Juliet have feelings? How do you know? What is she asking from him? Okay, so if you go back and you look at it, and what we read is Juliet does have feelings for him, but she's very aware that he's a Montague, and she's wishing that he doesn't have that name so that their love wouldn't be impossible in her eyes. And then number 4, Why is she struggling with her feelings about him? What is the obstacle? Again, the obstacle is that they come from feuding families, and that they couldn't possibly be together if their families are feuding. They kind of feel like their love is forbidden. So go ahead and answer that question, and when you're done, we can move on. Modern text. Romeo, I don't know how to tell you who I am by telling you a name. I hate my name, dear saint, because my name is your enemy. If I had written it down, I would tear up the paper. Juliet, I haven't heard you say 100 words yet, but I recognize the sound of your voice. Aren't you Romeo? Aren't you a Montague? Romeo, I am neither of those things if you dislike them. Juliet, tell me, how did you get in here? And why did you come? The orchid walls are high, and it's hard to climb over them. If any of my relatives find you here, they'll kill you because of who you are. Number 5. What warning does Juliet give Romeo in lines 54 through 65 based on the summary act? 1. How does this reminder foreshadow future events? So foreshadowing is kind of like a hint. What does it hint at? We know how the story ends, so elaborate on that. So Juliet warns him that if he gets caught, they will kill him. So we can go ahead and answer that one together. So Juliet tells Romeo if he gets caught by her family, they will kill him. Oops. And then, what does it foreshadow? So it foreshadows death, right? We know that he ends up dying, but they're kind of giving a hint. Shakespeare's giving a hint that that could be something that's gonna happen. Okay. Romeo. I flew over these walls with the light wings of love. Stone walls can't keep love out. Whatever a man in love can possibly do, his love will make him try to do it. Therefore, your relatives are no obstacle. Juliet, if they see you, they'll murder you. Romeo, alas, one angry look from you would be worse than 20 of your relatives with swords. Just look at me kindly, and I'm invincible against their hatred. I'd give anything to keep them from seeing you here. Romeo, in the darkness will hide me from them. And if you don't love me, let them find me here. I'd rather they be killed than have to live without your love. Number 6. Do you think Romeo is serious when he says that life were better ended by hate than death prolonged waiting of Juliet's love? Why or why not? So the question goes to the original text. It's quoting the original text. So if I'm going to highlight that, life were better ended by their hate than death prolonged waiting of love. If we look on the right side, I'd rather they kill me than have to live without your love. So it's asking, do you think what he says is serious, and why or why not? Okay, so that's going to be how you feel. So I think Romeo is serious or is not serious when he says that. This is why. Okay, so go ahead and answer that question. When you're done, you can move on. Okay, so Juliet, who told you to get here below my bedroom? Romeo, love showed me the way, the same thing that made me look for you in the first place. Love told me what to do, and I let love borrow my eyes. I'm not a sailor, but if you were across the farthest sea, I would risk everything to gain you. Juliet, you can't see my face because it's dark out. Otherwise, you'd see me blushing about the things you've heard me say tonight. I would be happy to keep up good manners and deny the things I said, but forget about good manners. Do you love me? I know you'll say yes, and I'll believe you. But if you swear you love me, you might turn out to be lying. They say Jove laughs when others lie to each other. Oh, Romeo, if you really love me, say it truly. Or if you think it's too easy and quick to win my heart, I'll frown and play hard to get, as long as you will make you try to win me, but otherwise I would act that way for anything. In truth, handsome Montague, I like you too much, so you may think my behavior is loose, but trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove myself more faithful than girls who act coy and play hard to get. I should have been more standoffish, I confess, but you overheard me talking about love in my heart when I didn't know you were there. So excuse me, and do not assume that because you made me love you so easily, my love isn't serious. Number 7. Analyze Juliet's speech to Romeo in lines 85 through 106. Does she believe Romeo really loves her? Find evidence from the text to support your answer. So, look at what she says in those lines, and does she believe Romeo really loves her? Again, find evidence. You can pull a quote or you can explain your answer, whether it's yes or no. And then the bonus question, why is Juliet's speech not a soliloquy? I am going to help you out with that. If you remember, Romeo's soliloquy was conversation he was having with himself. So Juliet's speech, she's giving a speech, but it's not to herself. She's talking to Romeo specifically. So you can write Juliet speech is not a soliloquy because she was not talking to herself. If you can't read my writing, sorry, this thing is kind of sloppy. Okay, when you're done with that, you can move on. Romeo, lady, I swear by the sacred moon above, the moon that paints the tops of fruit trees with silver. Juliet, don't swear by the moon. The moon is always changing. Every month its position in the sky shifts. I don't want you to turn out to be that inconsistent too. Romeo, what should I swear by? Juliet, don't swear at all, but if you have to swear, swear by your wonderful self, which is the God I worship like an idol, and then I'll believe you. Romeo, if it's my heart's dear love. Juliet, well, don't swear. Although you bring me joy, I can't take joy in exchange of promises tonight. It's too crazy. We haven't done enough thinking. It's too sudden. It's too much like lightning, which flashes and then disappears before you can say it's lightning. My sweet good night. Our love, which right now is like a flower bud in the summer air, may turn out to be a beautiful flower by the next time we meet. I hope you enjoy the same sweet peace and rest I feel in my heart. Juliet, what satisfaction could you possibly have tonight? Oh, I'm sorry, Romeo, oh, are you going to leave me so unsatisfied? Then Juliet, what satisfaction could you possibly have tonight? Romeo, I would be satisfied if we made each other two true promises of love. Juliet, I pledge my love to you before you asked me to, yet I wish I could take that promise back, so I had to give it again. Romeo, would you take it back? Would you do that, my love? So, number 8, reread lines 116 through 130. Why Does Juliet say she has no joy of this contract tonight? Summarize the reason she gives to Romeo. So again, they are using the left side to quote. So 116, no joy. I have no joy of this contract tonight, and I can't take joy in exchange of promises tonight. So those are the quotes that's coming from. So why does she say that? And then summarize the reasoning that she gives to Romeo. And when you're done with that, you can move on. Okay, Juliet. Only to be generous and give it to you once more, but I'm wishing for something I already have. My generosity to you is limitless as the sea, and my love is as deep. The more I love, I give you, the more I have. Both loves are infinite. I hear a noise. Dear love, goodbye. Just a minute, good nurse. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay here for a moment. I'll come back. Juliet exits. Romeo, oh blessed, blessed night. Because it's dark out, I'm afraid all of this is just a dream too sweet to be real. Juliet enters on her balcony. 3 words, dear Romeo, and then it's good night for real. If your intentions as a lover are truly honorable and you want to marry me, send me word tomorrow. I'll send a messenger to you and you can pass on a message telling me where and when we'll be married. I'll lay all of my fortunes at your feet and follow you, my lord, all over the world. Nurse, that's offstage. Madame. Juliet to nurse, I'll be right there. To Romeo, but if you don't have honorable intentions, I beg you. Nurse, offstage, yelling, Madame. Number 9, make a modern day connection. So consider Juliet's decision to marry Romeo in lines 142 through 148. Do you think a teenage girl today would be so bold making a decision like this? Explain. So this is your opinion to if you think a teenage girl would make a bold decision to want to marry somebody today, and explain your answer, okay? When you're done with that, you can move on. All right, I'm coming. I beg you to stop trying for me and leave me to my sadness. Tomorrow I'll send the messenger. Romeo, my soul depends on it. Juliet, 1,000 good times, good night. Juliet exits. Romeo, leaving you is 1,000 times worse than being near you. A lover goes toward his beloved as enthusiastically as a schoolboy leaving his books, but when he leaves his girlfriend, he feels as miserable as a schoolboy on his way to school. Romeo starts to leave. Juliet returns on her balcony. Hist, Romeo, hist. Oh, I wish I could make a falconer's call, so I could bring my little falcon back again. I'm trapped in my family's house, so I must be quiet. Otherwise, I would rip open the cave where Echo sleeps. I would make her repeat his name until her voice grew. Make hoarse, more hoarse than mine, repeating, my Romeo. Romeo, my soul is calling out my name. The sound of lovers calling each other's names through the night is silver sweet. It's the sweetest sound of a lover hears. Number 10. Romeo uses the analogy or comparison by stating, love goes towards love as a schoolboy from their books, but love towards school with heavy looks. What do you think he means by this analogy? Okay, so if you're looking at that, they are quoting this portion. So love goes towards the schoolboys from their books. Okay, and then a lover goes towards his beloved enthusiastically as a schoolboy leaving his books, but when he leaves his girlfriend, he feels miserable as a schoolboy on his way to school. So what do you think he means when he says that? So look at the right side. It's a little bit easier to answer reading the right-sided quote. Okay, when you're done with that, you can move on. Modern text. Juliet, Romeo, my baby hawk. Juliet, what time tomorrow should I send the messenger to you? Romeo, by 9 o'clock. Juliet, I won't fail. From now on, that until then seems like 20 years. I have forgotten why I called you back. Romeo, let me stand here until you remember your reason. Juliet, I'll forget it, and you'll have to stand there forever. I'll only remember how much I love your company. Romeo, I'll keep standing here even if you keep forgetting. I'll forget that I have my home besides this spot right here. Juliet, it's almost morning. I want to make you go, but I'd only let you go as far as a spoiled child let his pet bird go. He lets the bird hop a little from his hand and then yanks him back by a string. Romeo, I wish I was your bird. Both Romeo and Juliet use a bird analogy to describe their relationship. What do you think the bird represents? I will give you a hint for that one. When you think of a bird, as a pet, you keep them in a cage, but a true bird is out free to fly wherever, do whatever as it pleases. So I think what they are trying to explain to you is that they want to be free, and so you can use that information to answer that question. And then when you're done with that, we can move on. Juliet, my sweet, so do I, but I would kill you by petting you too much. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I'll say good night until tonight becomes tomorrow. Juliet exits. I hope you sleep, Romeo. I hope you sleep peacefully. I wish I were sleep and peace so I could spend the night with you. Now I'll go see my priest to ask for his help and tell him about my good luck. He exits. Based on the excerpt you just read, how does the phrase sweet sorrow apply to Romeo and Juliet? So for this one, the sorrow is that he has to leave, right? That's the sadness in this situation. The sweetness is that the thought of them seeing each other again, the thought of him marrying her. So these are all things that connect to that theme, sweet sorrow. So go ahead and answer that question. And when you're done, the last page is just your annotation rubric. So again, make sure you go back and make sure you have taken notes. It's worth 20 points, and those are easy 20 points to get if you're following along and taking notes. Those notes you can use